Welcome back to the 1945 Willy restoration. Today I want to focus on putting together some of the smaller accessory details like the glove box compartment and the toolbox lids. I've also been bolting on footrests and grab handles. Mostly I've been doing that because I'm waiting on parts for brake lines, steering gearbox, and electrical components. So I kind of took a break from some of that stuff to put together the glove box. And it really gave me a challenge. So in this video, I'd like to show you how I overcame that challenge and how I got that glove box to latch properly. All of these little parts need to be sandblasted. So I've got a lot of time in this cabinet cleaning up every little part, bolt, nut, and whatever I can do to preserve original components to the Jeep. So sandblasting always tells an interesting story about paint layers. I can see here it's painted olive drab originally. This is the lowest layer. I do not see any sign of any kind of primer. Then it looks like it had the navy gray painted over it when it went into Navy service. And then I don't know if it's when they decommission these things or what, but someone had painted it white and then red. And those are all of the layers underneath the paint. As I've been sandblasting it, I've been watching those paint colors come out. So kind of interesting, but I'm taking it back to regular olive drab. Okay, well the footrests are sandblasted and they've been all primed and painted, so let's get them bolted in. So one of the problems with these Jeeps being exposed bolts like this and everything being painted is that after you're done putting components on, you gotta clean up and touch up the paint from the sockets and stuff like that. So here I am just cleaning it up and putting a top coat of paint from where the sockets may have damaged the original paint. Here's another fun installation is the side grab handles. It just really kind of starts bringing together that exterior appearance of what a World War II Willys Jeep is supposed to be. And I need to re-drill the holes for the rear grab handles, so I haven't quite got those yet and the components are missing. I only had one of the original handles, so I put that on, and then I had to order a replacement handle for the other side. And you'll see I switched over to the box end while I was doing this, and I found that using the box end on the exterior bolts caused less damage to the paint because you're only grabbing that bolt on two sides as opposed to using a socket or a box end. So I used the open end and it didn't damage the paint on the bolt enough to where I had to touch up the paint. So that was really nice. So those are some of the small components we've been installing. If you're enjoying the video so far and you want to watch more or follow along with this project, please hit that subscribe button to help support the channel. Let's get into putting the glove box on. While I was crawling around under the dash getting ready to put that glove box on, I noticed that I still needed to touch up underneath the dash and behind the instrument panel and inside the glove box from where that Harbor Freight HVLP gun couldn't get in there. So I touched it up with the spray can. Alright, and I got the data plates installed with new data plate hardware from Ron Fitzpatrick Jeep Parts. I'm not sure what that yellow paint was, but it's really hard to clean up because I don't want to strip the black off of the data plates. And so that's all ready to go. Now we're going to install the felt weather strip on the toolbox and glove box door with some Permatex weather strip adhesive. I put it on the felt so that it would kind of soak into the felt a little bit, and for some reason I felt like that was going to create less of a mess when I tried to flip this felt over. And it actually worked out perfect. We flipped it right over and didn't really smear a bunch of that weather strip adhesive around. Now we need to rebuild the glove box latch. I had pulled it all apart so that I could paint the button. So first I'm going to apply my favorite Teflon grease into it so that everything is lubricated and working well, especially after being through the sandblaster and being cleaned out. First thing, the spring goes back in, and then the latch slides into place. And it's just got the one pin that can be tapped in and out, so this is actually a really easy component to rebuild. I'm going to put that pin in, and then I used a socket on the workbench to allow me to tap that in without scratching up the paint on the button that I had just put on. And I used a punch to get it the rest of the way in there. Now I'm putting it in the glove box door, and I found a little bit of interference with the felt, so I kind of just pried that felt back so that I could get that rear sleeve over the latch, and that rear sleeve is what's going to retain the latch in the door. And then we just put the one little flathead screw in, and that's it. The latch is all installed. Well, this just looks fantastic. The button works perfect. The latch is moving. So now it's time to get it installed on the dash panel. When we're installing the glove box door, it uses this nut plate. So that's going to slide in behind the dash here. And what I found was sliding that in and then using my small punch to align the screw holes with the holes in the dash got me pretty close, and it's just a really tedious process to get these little screws started. Mine's a late build Jeep, so it didn't have the spring that's supposed to hold the door from flopping all the way open, and so that also made this whole process kind of a pain because I had to support the door myself so that I wouldn't scratch up everything. You know, you're doing all this restoration work, and I really don't want to start out with a bunch of dents and scratches on my fresh paint. Well, I got them all started, and so now I'm just going to run them home with the screwdriver, and the glove box door is installed, or so I thought. So this is when I realized that the glove box door is not going to latch, and that I'm going to have to make some adjustments. And at first I thought, no big deal, I can just adjust the striker plate down a little bit, that'll make it catch. And the thing is, you really can't feel with the glove box door what's happening.
Maybe push the button and then close it?
Well, that was a good idea, but it didn't work. So I put a camera inside, and you can see the latch is actually just rolling right off of there. So my first thought was to bend the latch back, but now it doesn't reach in far enough to actually even try to click. So I'm finding that that this end here is just a little bit too curved, and the latch is just rolling off of it and not actually catching and sticking. I stuck the camera inside the glove box just to see what was going on, how far off I was, what adjustment I needed to make. And that's when I found that it is catching here, just that it's pulling back off. I could take the grinder to it. What I want to do is try to make it a little bit flatter, but I'm going to see if I can just do it gently with the file first so I don't take too much off. That didn't work, and so I figured the heck with being gentle. It stayed. So in reality, I had hours and actually even days into trying to adjust that latch and grind in a little groove for it so that it would actually hold. But in the end, this is what it looks like, and now it actually clips in, holds until you press the button. Now, one benefit of having the camera in there to film all that was that I realized I missed a whole bunch of spots. So I stuck the camera in a couple more times and went ahead and touched up the inside of the glove box. So we got the felt in, and we just need to bolt it onto the Jeep. I'm mostly just excited because I've got all these little pieces, the glove box, the toolbox lids, the hoods, the fenders, that are floating around the shop, and they just take up room, and the longer they're not installed on the Jeep, the more chances of damage they're going to get by getting moved around the garage. For this, I ordered the hardware from Ron Fitzpatrick, and one thing that's nice about ordering hardware from them is that you're getting the original slotted head screws. And those can be hard to source locally. Some of the original stuff from the Jeep is still in, the hardware would be in serviceable condition, but it just takes so long to sandblast these little screws and clean their threads and get them prepped for install. And a lot of them are mismatched anyways, and so if I don't have a full set of good hardware, then I'm just going to go ahead and get new stuff from Ron Fitzpatrick so that I have the proper quantity, the proper sizing, and the proper flathead style. I still need to put the toolbox latch in, and so we'll do that a little bit later. But for now, the toolbox lids are installed on the Jeep, they are off the workbench, and now I can get on to other projects. All right, well that's it. I got the glove box latch in, and it's staying closed now. The button works perfect. I want to thank you all for watching. If you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to follow along with this project and some of the other things we do. Your subscription really helps support the channel and continue the growth, and it gives me some incentive to continue producing these videos. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.